has reached. I was so stunned when I really saw this number, 600,000 teachers that you have reached, Doctor. Unbelievable. And 1 million students through lectures in professional colleges to schools across this country and the world. Redefining learning and teaching towards adaptive edutainment with activity-filled classroom, clearly defining roles and values is what makes his classes memorable. In fact, the students that who have completed or who have been with him have achieved or attained potential to a very huge extent, which they themselves wouldn't have believed. And that's what I have seen in some of his videos. He also conducts teacher training sessions, as he believes that teachers are the ones who make tomorrow's citizens. Of course, they are the ones who are at the forefront, training and teaching the children. He teaches them what is effective and effective training, educational techniques, etc. Now, effective is something really, really close to my heart too, which deals with emotions. And that's what he also teaches the teachers to be. And of course, all the Gulf CBSE school principals have heard of TPS, and he has trained a lot many teachers from there too, not only in India, but also in the international scenario. He's been in the US and have done a lot of work in the US also. And I so welcome him to this platform where we are all so privileged to have him here. Dr. TPS, it's up to you. Please take it forward to give us all the life that you keep speaking about, which is learn in full enjoyment. And today we are all here to learn in full enjoyment about life from you. The platform is yours, Dr. TPS.
Dr Padmashree, it was so nice to hear. Yeah, we had some time yesterday to know each other, and I'm so glad. Sometimes what happens is in the seminars, people introduce by text what is given, and I make them really to suffer. I ask few questions. What do you know about me to introduce? No, and it happens to most of the people. They say he's a very good speaker. Have you heard him? No, is it no? So I found Padmashree has done enough homework.
Network adjust.
She looked at most of the videos, and that is why you picked up nice words. Yeah, probably 6 million is, 0.6 million is something little old. It could be more than million now. And I must thank and namaskaram and salutation to Dr. Sundaradas, who is responsible for this platform. I was looking at what I was listening to his talk and interviews and audios and broadcasts, the website, what is it? So it was nice to know that Dasji also believes in the holistic approach of education. That is what I could understand. And he is a very, very senior person with a lot of years of experience in education. I was contacted by my sister Geeta, who is also known to me only through these webinars. It's so kind of her that she wanted me to be part of this program. And I'm glad that the last moment I saw the name of Ratna ji also as a speaker who is from a different experience from education related activities internationally. So I'm also looking forward to listen from her. Quality of education is being discussed these days, probably because webinars have come very famous, probably because Professor COVID introduced webinars to most of the people, probably because SDG has come and then one of the goals is quality education. It is unfortunate that People are discussing after 7 to 8 years of SDG in plan and still trying to understand what is SDG. And we have another 15 more years to go, probably, or 10 years, 2030, another 7 more years. Finished. We keep doing it every time. When new policies comes, new proposals comes, new education policy, I must have given hundreds of lectures. All of them are useless actually, because I don't think anything much better than earlier education policies. It's one and the same. It all says that we want to improve quality of education. Inclusiveness. United Nations Development Programs, UNDP in 1970s itself said, we need to include everybody. What is that to include now? Yeah, including now is, there are people coming without face, only names are coming. The quality improves when they show the face. Right. Now the webinars, there are 57 members. Hardly we see 4 people with the faces. Rest of the people have put the name and left the place. Attending webinar, attendance is given, certificates are given. Most of the teachers, when they attend seminar, first thing what they ask is, are you giving e-certificate? I keep saying, don't attend, I will give you certificate in advance itself. Don't come here for certificates. Because education has become certification. Education has become attendance. It is not gaining knowledge. I have sent a few of my friends for attending today's seminar. Immediately I got 4 of them asking, can I be a speaker? I said, I am not organizing this program. Somebody is organizing. And they called me by mistake. Right. And I don't know who are you. Actually, the person who is asking to become part of a speaker, I don't know that person also. Right. And you will see sympathetically people who don't even speak good English have got 200 PhDs in India. You can imagine there are private companies, digital companies, they are only digital. And who is giving this? An illiterate fellow, probably uneducated fellow. And who is vice chancellor for that? A primary teacher from abroad somewhere. Unknown place, you put somebody as a vice chancellor also, no problem. You understood? So education has become a big bogus. And understand, I talked about SDG, I talked about COVID, I talked about the webinar life. And I also talked about the bogus digital programs available today. And we are talking about the quality. What is quality in Bharatiya Shastram? Indian traditional knowledge, quality has got a different meaning. I don't think anyone here would have thought about quality in that mode. So I'm going to ask you a very specific question. What is the quality of sugar? Sweetness is the quality of sugar. What is the quality of salt? Saltiness is the quality of salt. What is quality of education? Education. Very simple. Quality means the property which is shown. So if I have an educational qualification of maybe LLB I have, do I have the quality of that subject which I learned is my question. I'm a mathematician. Do I have mathematics in my brain? Do I have mathematics in my heart? Do I have mathematics in my hands? See, when you say sugar, don't go deep inside sugar to find it sugar inside. Every bit of sugar has that quality, right? The salt has got saltiness only, not when you open it and then see, only when it, when you rub it, no, not required. So do somebody has got that quality, and such people who have that quality is called acharyas. Look at him and then feel, oh, I want to be like him. Do we have such people who have got mathematics in them and say, oh, he is a mathematician? He is an acharya of mathematics. Then what he does, that action becomes a dharmic action. The dharma of salt is giving saltiness. The dharma of education is giving education. And who is entitled for that? If you believe that formal education is done by teachers, formal education, There are two types of education, formal, informal. And formal education is given by teachers. When you call somebody as mathematics teacher, physics teacher, English teacher, do they have that quality of, if that is not there, any programs which we give in terms of new education policy, SDG, and people talk about the quality of education, webinars can be given, copy from somewhere, read it and then get seminars, webinars and give, all that is useless. Because in your classroom, you are not a good teacher. If you are not a good teacher in your classroom, get one student and show that you can. I challenge. When I left my job in 2009, the first thing what I did is I went to a small village in Kerala, picked up 90 children who is written off from schools and colleges, the schools and from their parents, saying that they will not become anything in their life. Useless fellows. Doesn't give it to me. I picked up 90, 45 girls and 45 boys who are from the worst school in Kerala, from a Malayalam medium. Parents and teachers told these students will not pass 10th class, normally conducting exam. Today's exam, everybody passes. That's a different examination. I am talking about a quality examination. Not like a Cheat India movie, what is shown. Cheat India movie is a beautiful movie, everybody has to see. And if you have not seen, look at Quota Factory. That's another series of things. What is happening in India in education especially. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about quality examination. When I got to them, I transferred all of them from Malayalam medium to English medium. Somebody asked, they don't even pass from Malayalam medium. Why are you transferring them to English medium? I said, failing in English medium is much more prestigious than failing in Malayalam medium. That is why I'm transferring. I made a joke of the whole thing what I did there. Because you know that anyway they are going to fail. They are useless. Now let me do some exercise. No, finding out what I can do with them. And where did I teach them English grammar? Not from classroom. I don't teach them Run and Martin grammar book. I took them to Goa beach. 3 days Goa beach. They had the courage of speaking English to anyone in this world. Because Goa beach is a place where millions of people from different parts of the world will come. No job, they will be without a dress, the poorest fellows in the world, only 1 centimeter top and 2 centimeter bottom. Looking at them, it is very difficult for the village students. I told them, look at wherever you want. This is a nice chance for all of you. All girls and boys, go and talk to them. Don't have shame of asking them because they themselves don't have shame at all. So you can talk to them in English. I wrote in Malayalam and given, what is your name? That's what you should ask. Because they could hardly read English those days. It was 10 years back, 12 years back. You know, where are they now? The most prestigious institutions in India. Many of them are PhDs, many of them are postgraduates. I'm not talking from blah blah from air. I'm talking from what experience I had in my hand. You don't require good students in a school. You don't require good infrastructure in school. You don't require classrooms, you don't require board, nothing is required. Traditionally, Bharatiya Gurukulam never had these infrastructures. Without a microscope, I used to show chemistry teachers and chemistry students the atom. You don't require a microscope. You need only a mental scope. Naninam drishtigojaraha. Naninam drishtigojaraha. If you have knowledge, you can see anything beyond what is that. That is called Darshana Shastra. Darshanam is seeing. What is Darshana Shastram? Sudarshanam. What is Sudarshanam? That was the weapon for Sri Krishna. And he is the greatest Guru. Jagat Guru. Vishwa Guru. The greatest yogi. And if you don't have that, every teacher has to be a yogi by themselves, not by Yogasana certificate for 1 week and then say, I'm a Yogacharya. I'm not talking about them. Education is the process of understanding the human being, because only human beings have education programs. No dogs will sit in webinar like this and no dog will speak. Only human being can do that. Nanebihina Pashubhisamana. If you don't have knowledge, if you are not dealing with education and knowledge, if you are not interested in learning, you are an animal. That is what Bharatiya Shastram says. You want only certificate, animals also can get certificate. Aadhaar card. Similar, the punch is given on the ears. A card is there, their identity is given. Good enough. No, but Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithunani, Samani Chaitani, Nranam Pashunam. Aharam, food, Nidra, sleep. Bhayam, you know what is Bhayam. And Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithunani. Maithunam is sex. Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya, Maithunani, Samani Chaitani, Nranam Pashunam, Nanam Naranam Adhigo Vishesho. Knowledge is extra to human being. And if you don't have that knowledge, you are not a human being. So what is education? Transacting knowledge. The transaction should happen. How does it happen? Whoever is sitting in my webinar, will they be able to understand what I'm speaking? No, 100% no. Very difficult. Because my background and your background is different. Not that you are bad and I am good. No. Your frequency is different. My frequency is different. Your background is different. My background is different. My foreground is different. Your foreground is also different. So what is required? The frequency match should happen. How does it happen? You have to associate with them many times. That is what happens in a classroom. But that doesn't happen physically being there. It should happen intellectually. You should grow. Emotionally, you should have that attachment. That's what I was so happy Padmashree looked at my talk for teachers and then say effective, E effective and A effective. Only when we talk to each other, the frequency match happens. Immediately the flow will happen. Let it be mathematics, physics, chemistry, doesn't matter. You don't require that subject knowledge. I keep saying, when some students, they come for counseling, they say, my student is very bad in mathematics. I tell them, from the syllabus, take the worst subjects, worst syllabus, worst chapter, which they don't understand and come to me for half an hour. I will make them to love that subject, that's it. Then the rest of the learning will happen by themselves. I'm not going to teach mathematics, physics, chemistry in any of the classes, but I will teach them how to learn that subject. See, most of the people think that I'm a mathematics teacher. What do? I take mathematics. That's what they say. I said, don't take mathematics. You must give mathematics. I handle mathematics. Why are you handling mathematics? I said, the word which you are using in as a teacher itself is useless. See, you don't have teachers who can add values to the students, understand them. Unless you can understand the student, that quality education will not happen in classrooms. That's what is lacking. The deciphering and getting that subject in the mind of the students is what teachers' job is. And that should come only with the passion. And you will never get tired. I had classes 48 hours continuous non-stop. More than 6,000 students, 6 hours non-stop. 6,000 students, 6 hours non-stop. And I will go in between and ask some student, what is the last sentence which I said? Repeat it. I did it. And you say the students, the biggest problem is students are not concentrating. And you know what teachers do? Please listen. They will keep begging in the classroom. These are beggars. Teachers are beggars. How can you improve the quality? The quality of education is in the hands of teachers. That's why I wanted to tell all this. The quality of life is in the hands of the society. It is the profession. A profession should become your passion. Otherwise, it becomes only a joke. It's only done for money. Education had that status, but today we don't have. I was teaching MBA students. You know, my students are writing examination in the staff room. I am writing the same question paper and answers are written. Because when my students write, if I cannot write and get 100 out of 100, I'm unfit to be a professor of that subject. I did it. And students come and then say, hey, this is out of syllabus. I said, take this answer. It's already there. I did not refer textbook. I wrote it in my own. This is the answer given. How many teachers write examination? I challenge most of the teachers. The subject which they teach, they write examination. Many of them will fail, I will tell you. China education is good because teachers are asked to write examination every year. If I am teaching 8th standard mathematics, I must pass my 8th standard mathematics first. Then only I am called for teaching. Here, once you become a teacher, finished. You don't require to learn at all. Permanent. Salary is guaranteed. That's why yesterday I was telling Padmashree, all the government schools are for teachers. And all the private schools are for parents. They are very happy put them into. And what do private schools do know to these days? They have a tie-up and contract with another company who runs programs in the schools. What a pity thing, yeah. Teachers have a tie-up with a coaching center. They have English teacher separate, science teacher separate, coaching center separate, IIT separate, JEE separate. Everybody comes into schools and then it has become big business. Indian education business is much bigger and higher in terms of money expenditure than what government is spending in education. The private business. If I keep saying to teachers, if I am my mathematics teacher and my students go for tuition for mathematics, I will commit suicide. Because I am cooking food and feeding my children, and immediately they go and eat in a hotel. Why should I feed my children? Yeah. See, having breakfast at home, immediately you are seeing your son is going and eating in a hotel. Will you feel happy? That means your food, what is given, is not good. You are unfit to feed them in the morning, right? Your food is not tasty. Then why do you want to do that business? And you know, most of the school principals, teachers, everybody encourage tuitions. Without a tuition, they won't get marks. You know, we had a great teacher, Kaudilya, who left his Rajya, the kingdom, because his students were not lenient to him. And he made a Chakravarti picking up somebody from the street who is a good actor. At least act like a good student. That's what I keep saying. We have great Bhagavad Gita as a great lesson. Darshana Shastram. Krishna could teach. Why Krishna could teach? Only because Arjuna had questions. Otherwise, Bhagavad Gita will not be there. It is not a teacher's textbook. It's a student's textbook. So unless your students are asking questions in the classroom, you are a useless teacher. And how many students ask questions? Most of the time, I must have seen hundreds of thousands of schools in and outside the country, spoke to more than 1 million of students. Hardly we see somebody who have questions. Why? That is because that is how they are trained. The more and more young children, as soon as they can speak at home, they keep asking questions. What is this? What is this? What is this? What is this? That's how they learn. That's informal education. At home, they have informal education. They'll keep on asking. Give them anything, keep them anything anywhere, they will start grabbing it and ask, what is this? They want to have it, they want to have a look at it, they want to smash it and look inside it. As you grow, you become more sophisticated, more social. What does it mean? The inquisitiveness, the quest is gone. You have no questions. Let it be anything, I don't care. I remember when I was an executive director of an engineering college, I asked my students, what do you want to be in your life? Why do you want to be anything in my life? They don't want anything at all. Then why do you come for civil engineering? My mother told me civil engineering is good. You can imagine an engineering student says he joined for engineering because his mother told engineering student is good. I said, what is your mother doing? She goes for casual job. And who told her? Some neighbor told from somewhere. This is our education system. See, no direction, no guidance at all. Why are you learning this? Without knowing, they go there. Where do they go? They join the largest queue. IT has a big demand, everybody in IT. And many of the places they found IT is not good, IT closed in most of the colleges. Biotechnology was great, finished. As soon as nanotechnology came, biotechnology went off. It's only small pebble in the world. It has no value at all. I think purpose of education has to be understood. What is purpose of education? Savidya and avidya. You require knowledge for getting a job. You require knowledge to transact in society, networking with the people, talking to people, well-being, happiness. Human being is being human. Social being is being social. How do you make your life better and better? So it changes from age to age, level to level, changes from situations to situation, geography to geography, society to society, poor, rich, everything is different. You cannot talk about fashion designing to a person who doesn't even have food to eat. You cannot talk about spiritual yoga, meditation to somebody who is actually starving. So physical, emotional, intellectual, social, spiritual, that level it should go. So this was understood specifically. It was very clearly understood what there is no single solution for the problem, because problem itself is different. And who can evaluate? Who can give a certificate? How can I give a certificate that Padmashree is the world's best psychologist? See, today people are being, see, I am giving a certificate to somebody whom even I have not heard once in my life saying she is the best teacher in the world. The world's best teacher award, yeah. And who am I to certify XYZ is the best teacher in the world? Yeah? So every certification needs to be evaluated. It needs to have a quality. Don't go behind certificate. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I remember Geetaji asked me, sending some details about me and said, is it good? I said, doesn't matter. What am I earlier doesn't matter. Today, what am I speaking is what is important. Generally, physically, if I am in a class, when Padmashree is introducing, I would have asked to stop. Today, I enjoyed it because she did some, at least, did some background job, and then that has to be permitted. And I'll tell you some places where I went, they used to read beautifully. I said, give me that copy I need, because nobody has given such a best testimonial for me in my life. And I have posted it in my blog also, you can see. Somebody has written beautifully. It needs. I remember my wife's teacher was introducing me in a college. So I told I need it. Why? Because I want to show this to my wife. I am such a great person. No, she is not recognizing me sometimes. So if your teacher says I am good, definitely I must be good, right? Correct. So sometimes all that great certificate doesn't matter. People whom you know, people whom you are connected, people who may get connected to you tomorrow, when they speak to you, it matters. Otherwise, institutional certificate doesn't matter. See, I am a great psychologist. I'm a great psychologist. I'm a great person who can counsel anybody. You know why I'm saying this? I remember when my son went to Symbiosis to study, he saw some girl was crying in the canteen. He went and asked, what is the problem? Some problem is there. She couldn't even speak. He said, talk to my father. He will solve problems. See, my son who is studying graduation is saying to some of the friend who is not even known, definitely I am certified by my son that, yeah, I am a good person who can counsel. I said, give the phone to her. I will speak. Immediately I could connect. How could I connect? Her grandfather was my teacher. Right? And he's a great man from Kerala. When I was director for academic staff college, I called him for a lecture and I wanted to be with him for some time. He was such a great man. I told him, your grandfather is such a great man and you are crying. It doesn't suit you. Finished. Counseling was over. Understood? So sometimes you need to know the background. How many teachers understand the background of the students? We have an educational psychology. Why do you want an external psychologist to understand psychology of students and teachers? Padmashree is making money. Why Padmashree is making money? Because teachers are useless. They don't know what they have learned in their classroom. They have learned educational psychology. Psychology is part of B.Ed. Bachelor of Education. They don't understand the meaning of bachelor itself. The India gives a degree called Bachelor of Technology, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Physics, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Commerce. What is Bachelor means? Brahmachari. What is Brahmachari? My Brahma moves. Charanam means movement. My Brahma is moving inside that subject of education. Did my Brahma moved in education? What is Brahma? Hridaya Guhara Madhya Kevalam Brahma Matram. Inside the Hridaya, there is a Brahma. What is Brahma? Creativity. And who is the creativity's husband? Who is the creativity's husband? Saraswati, education minister, the goddess of education. So if you are educated, you are creative. If you are not creative, you are not educated. So what is the purpose of education? Education is to make people creative. And if you are not creative, whatever education you give, it is useless. What is being creativity? Ask questions. How did you get it? Where did you get it? Why did you get it? Why you wanted to know about it? When there is a thunder and lightning, no dog will look at the top and ask why thundering and lightning. If you are not asking, you are a dog. You are an animal. If you ask, then you are a human being. Do you have that curiosity? Creating that curiosity is what is the purpose of education. Teachers are supposed to do that. Why are you talking about the history of Ukraine, history of Russia in the classroom? To connect to what is happening tomorrow, you must be able to understand what happened earlier. That's the purpose of history. But then you learned it and you got good marks. But today when something else is happening, you are not even connecting. You are not even discussing. You are not even understanding. So what concern you have about the world? And if you don't have anything, what is the purpose of education? The quality was bad. It was there, it got rotten. I keep asking students, after 10th class, you already educated higher BA, BCom, BTech or something you got after 7 years, 8 years, you got a master's, 10 years, you got a PhD. Very good. Write a 10th class exam. Show me whether you pass or not. Guaranteed, Dr. DPS will get more marks what I got because I got very less marks in 10th class. So today I know much better. So I keep saying when you are a student, don't study well. So that later you can tell I will get. If I write my MSc exam, I will get more marks than what I got. If I read my PhD thesis, I will rewrite everything because everything was wrong. See, your education is to improve yourself, not to say that I have a PhD, that is fantastic. No. When you get more and more knowledge, you understand what you learned earlier is wrong. Nothing wrong. Invent yourself. Invent yourself. And today's world is entirely different. And today, don't talk about 21st century education and all that. It's all gone. We have to talk about the third decade of 21st century. When digital came, it is almost 15 years back, I wrote the book on adaptive learning. When I wrote the book on adaptive learning, that was a great book. But today that is not that great. Why? The adaptive learning, which talked about your education has to be digital, multimedia. That time digital board was just coming. That's it. Today webinar is very common. That day webinar was not common. So when I asked the teachers, you must learn this, they said not required because it was not mandatory. For promotion, you make it mandatory, everybody will learn. So I had tough time. So I remember 15 years back, I wrote about this digital education, the webinar and such practices. It was useless, but today it is being practical. So you need to have that vision. And today what vision you need to have? Much more. It is not that multimedia. Don't use PowerPoint today and then speak. That time is gone. You should use simulation, animation, and you should use augmented reality, virtual reality. All that should come part of it. That time itself, it has become part of it. So education is becoming much faster and teachers must upgrade themselves. Let that be history teacher also, no problem. You must get upgraded with the technology. That is why in B.Ed you have a syllabus technology education. Communication. The teaching should become updated with the technology, but I am not seeing that's happening. So educators should change. The schools are international. You give the name international, world, very good, wonderful. I remember one of the schools in Delhi. It's an international school, definitely. So what I used to do is when I was working with the Prime Minister's office, morning I go to some school, talk to them for 1 hour, then come to office because generally school start at 7:30. By 8:30 I can finish it and 9 o'clock I can be back in office. I did that. So I know that my session is in that school in so and so day. 1 week earlier, what I did was I sent email to everybody looking at the website. I am coming to your school. Tell me one point which you require me to address in the session, in the assembly. No reply at all. The principal told me we are an international school in the assembly, hi-fi. So I said, none of your teachers are hi-fi. Your school is hi-fi. I admit. Everything is hi-fi. Attendance is hi-fi. Entry is hi-fi. Punching is there. Everything is there. But teachers are not even seeing one email. I said, how do you know? I said, ask them to check. My mail is there in the box for 1 week. They are not even attended. The busiest person in this world is teachers because they are the most laziest person. Busy is only when you are lazy. Otherwise, no. Otherwise, you can always find a time. If somebody says, I don't have time, that means you are the laziest. I keep asking, are you busier than Prime Minister of India or what? When somebody says, oh, I have flown, I have got the jet lag. I keep asking Modi whether he has got jet lag or not. As he flies, immediately he will take a next flight and go to somewhere else. So jet lag and all is useless because you don't have that passion. So teachers have to become high-fi. Schools are high-fi. Students are anyway high-fi. So what happens in between? Teachers ask them to keep quiet, keep quiet. Don't ask them to keep quiet. Ask them to become violent in the class. Make them smart. Improve learners' quality in the classroom so that they will become lifelong learners. It is not learning in the classroom. They have to become lifelong learners. How do you convert them to lifelong learners? So that wherever they reach, it is not getting a job and ending with an education. All my students who knows me, who are interacting with me under my mentoring, they don't stop learning even if they get a job. All my education after my PhD and before job itself, I got a job, then only I got my PhD. After that, I did my LLB, MBA, MA, many programs I did. I keep on learning. Today also I learn. So every day, if you don't learn, then you are an animal. So education is not to get a job. Once it is to get a job, it is called a, probably if you are not a teacher, you need not learn. If you are a teacher, yes. And what is extra required? Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shunichaiva shupagena pandita samadarshida darshanaha darshinaha, whatever you want. So I look at Pandita. Pandita has to see Shuni Chaiva Chopakecha Brahmane Gavi Hastini Vidya Vinaya Sampanni. Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter. I think Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Yeah. So what does it say? When you have equanimity for people. When somebody speaks to you with a requirement, don't look at them as, oh, he's a great man, so let me talk to him like this. He is not a good man, he is not a great man, so let me not answer him. Not like that. Anybody. Your job is to make everybody equal. Ena kena prakarena yasya kasyabi dehinaha sandosham janayat pratna tadaivam ishvara pujanam. Do something somewhere, somehow to somebody to make them not temporarily happy, a lifelong happiness. And that is what is life. L-I-F-E. Live in full enjoyment. Learn in full enjoyment. Make them to learn so that they can become happier internally. Not externally. Everybody has got a internal happiness when they learn. Your Uttar Pradesh becomes much more brighter. Your Madhya Pradesh also will become brighter. And your Manas also becomes brighter. So it needs to be connected. So what is the purpose of education? Pandidaha. You have to become a Pandita. I must be able to say I am a Pandita. So what is the quality of Pandita? Ashochyaranya shochastvam. Bhagavad Gita starts with the 2nd chapter, 11th sloka. Don't say that Bhagavad Gita starts with the 1st chapter, 1st sloka. Bhagavad Gita starts with the 2nd chapter, Sankhya Yoga, 11th sloka. And the earlier one, what I said is, if you have education, Vidya, Vinaya Sampanne, what is the last line? It says, Pandita Samadarshinaha. A Pandita will look at people equally. So what is the purpose of education? To convert you to become a Pandita. What is the quality of a Pandita? Look at, see, Bhagavad Gita, you have to do cross-reference. To look at an answer from 5th chapter, you will have to look at 2nd chapter. What is that? It says, Ashocyananya shochastvam. Pratnavatam shabhashase gadasuna gadansunscha nanu shochandi panditaha. A pandita is one who will not grieve, who will not become unhappy, who will not cry, who will not complain, who have no problems of his own. I will complain. Dr. TPS keep on complaining in the society is not correct. This has to be changed. That, but I have no complaint on my life. I am very happy. I am very peaceful. If you have complaint on yourself, then you are not a pandita. If you are thinking about yourself, then you are not a Pandita. You are thinking about somebody else, then you are a Pandita. What a beautiful definition is this, you see. Bhagavad Gita you can interpret in 100 ways. I'm so happy today I could interpret Bhagavad Gita like this. It doesn't happen. Earlier, my Bhagavad Gita classes, you look at second chapter, 11th sloka, I did not translate like this. I did not interpret like this. When I look at it carefully with the education quality, Ashochyananya shochastam. Don't become unhappy. Don't become sad. Ashochyananya shochastam. So the Bhagavad Gita's lesson is don't become unhappy. Who? Those who have Vidya, those who have Pandita. And what is Vidya? Not that Vidya what you have from the certificates from the universities. Vidya is that divine knowledge which you have, which tells you how to live, how to fight a war, not run away from war. There are a lot of problems in life and face those problems. See, my father died when I was 4 years old. How does it matter? There are a lot of people who had father until they died. Some people even think about what will happen if my son dies, what will happen to my life. Parents also want to live longer. It doesn't make any sense in you. Let them go, no problem. It doesn't affect. See, India did not have any problem when we lost prime ministers and prime ministers. Many of them died. Nothing happened. India is still India. Great. What is so difficult in your life when somebody is there or not? It doesn't matter. Gadasuna gadasumscha. People come and go. Doesn't matter. You have to be strong. Nanu shochanti pandidaha. Don't become sad. See, this is what Bhagavad Gita says. And you know what happens in education? When somebody fails in examination, they commit suicide. We have got a Hussain Sagar lake here. And we have got a Nagpur also in the center of the city, they have a lake. Soon after the result is published, police will be there around. You know why? Otherwise, many people will jump. In spite of that also, at least 30, 40 people die every time. Committing suicide. Why? I failed in examination. What is the purpose of becoming a graduate and postgraduate when you don't have courage to face exams? I've got a beautiful blog written, 30 points to students, 20 points to parents and teachers. Look at it. It keeps saying, fail, no problem. You have another supplementary exam coming. You can always write. Indian education system is so good, you know. I remember one of the students failed in 12th class. Her parents came and told me, oh, I paid fees already for graduate admission thinking that this buffalo will pass. Now what do I do? I lost my 50,000 advance rupees. I said, don't worry. Next week, she will get her +2 certificate. How? We have an open school program. Register today, write examination tomorrow, day after tomorrow, you will get a certificate. Very simple. And you know what is she now? She works in a very good company as a software engineer. Wonderful. MCA completed, Master of Computer Applications. Very good. Wonderful. What is that +2 she passed? Failed in mathematics, passed in home science. That is also good enough to become a computer professional today. So if you fail in examination, some problem, you tell me, I will know how to make you pass and get certificate for getting qualification and job. That is not a problem. If that is really sensible, yes, that also is required. But what is required in life when you grow up after 30, 40, what is that you want? You should not feel unhappy saying that, yeah, I lost my life. Vidya, vinayam, vinayam should be there. Wisdom should come. Value should add to you. Vinaya, yeah, Dipatratam. You should give that to those people who are qualified for the such things only. Patra, Dhanamapnodi. Give it to those people who are qualified. The patram, who is the receiver, must be understood, then only fill it. So when somebody is asking, he is already at a higher age, want a certificate, I say, forget about certificate now, yeah. It's your time for you to give certificates to your children. So what is required? Dhanat, dharmam, tada sukham. Your quality should improve. Dharmam should be there. Oh, I have a quality for which I have got a certificate. And then sukham should come. You should find out that enjoyment. So how does it happen? When you lecture 5%, when you read maybe 10%, the audio, video and all that, multimedia, we keep saying maybe 20%. That's it. When you demonstrate yourself, you get some 30% knowledge. Create a discussion around you. How do you improve quality? Discuss with the people. You get 50%. Because to discuss, you should know the 25% with you. What you get between the demonstration and the discussion put together will become 50%. And practice it by doing. Then you get 75% knowledge. Then when you start teaching, probably you have, yeah, depends on. I don't think anybody understood gravity much better than Newton. So the inventor understood something. When you translate and keep it, probably you have to reach very close to him. Above 75% is always distinction. That's good enough. So how much knowledge you have on a subject which I talk, I have got 75%. That's it. I don't have 100% knowledge. Where is it set? Acharya Padamadatte, 25% come from Acharyas. Padam Shishya Swamedhaya. Children have to learn 25% by themselves. Padam sa Brahmacharibhya. By discussion, they should acquire 25% knowledge. Padam Kalakramena. 75% is over. Now, if I ask you, have you heard this anywhere? Padmashree, let me ask you, you are the only one person who spoke to me. And Prashanti is also there. So let me take a chance. Prashanti, have you heard this? Acharya Padamadatte, Padam Shishya Swamedhaya, Padam sa Brahmacharibhya, Padam Kalakramenacha. Any one of you heard? Other than these two, anyone who have not heard my lecture where I asked this question, who is here? Many people joined who heard me earlier also. All of you heard, I will tell you. You also laughed after hearing this in the cinema theater. Is there anybody who has not seen 3 Idiots movie? Yeah, on the stage, one Tamil fellow is chanting a sloka, Padamadatte, Padamadatte, and the principal is being ashamed, and then somebody corrected that, Amir Khan corrected the script and then asked him to, original one you have not searched, no, because you are not a teacher. You heard somebody laughing, you also laughed. Everybody is laughing, you should also laugh without even understanding. Now you think yourself, what a fool I am. I laughed there without even understanding the meaning. And if you are a real student, take your hand up. At least Padmashree and Prashanti should listen to me. And keep it on your head and say, "Nai janma aipoindi." Useless fellow, I don't even understand cinema in this world. Without that, you laugh, yeah? Because everybody is laughing. That is what is happening in the classroom also. Without understanding, everybody will listen. Everybody laughs. That's it. Go and refer. Acharya Padamadatte, Padam Shishya Swamedhaya, Padam sa Brahmacharibhya, Padam Kalakramenacha. A great quality of education principle is what is being explained here. Is it not? If you want to improve the quality of education, every student should have that quest for knowledge. They should prepare before going to the classroom, listen to the classroom, and then 25% will come to you when the teacher speaks. Otherwise, you don't. And who should teach? The real teacher should teach who really understands, and those should become that standard. That's what is to be done. Now, Leda understood why she did a mistake of asking me to speak as much as I want. She gave a call now, asking me to stop. Right? I can go on and on, not now, one day. Somebody asked me how much time you want. They said you can speak as much as you want. I never stopped. And you know, the session went without lunch break, up to 4 o'clock from 9 o'clock. And every student, even today, the students say that is the break class in my life. And I said, eat now, otherwise your parents will scold you. Don't go, otherwise throw the tip box. Don't take it back. They will scold me tomorrow. They will keep asking me. See, actually, your Madhya Pradesh doesn't work when your Uttar Pradesh works and Hath works. That's how the class should go. Leda did a big mistake. I asked before the session, how much time I have? You can speak as much as you want. It's all easy to say, but very difficult. And why did I continue? I wanted Leda to call me. That's it. So she gave a ring. So thank you, namaskaram. I wish there are good questions. Probably if good questions are there, that will be very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This was like a laughing riot on the complaints and the problems that we have. Yes, so who has a question? You can raise your hands or you can unmute and ask directly.
No questions, normal classroom.
I have a question. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, Sujit.
How to overcome the hesitation to ask the questions?
You come to in my class for a few days. Shuchita doesn't have, because she keeps attending my sessions. Because all my sessions, I keep asking, ask question, ask question. So what do I do is when I go to sessions in the class, I don't, if my time is given 1 hour, I speak only 20 minutes, then I will say finished. And there are many techniques where you can see in my sessions, every student will come on to stage. I said, if you are a girl or a boy, if you have a doubt that you are a girl or a boy, don't come to stage. I cannot tell this in many of the other classrooms, but generally girls and boys only are there, right? The mixed gender is not there. So what do happen when I say, you have any questions, immediately they will ask left hand side. I don't have, do they have or not? That's what children do. I said, don't look here and there, look straight. And if you have a question, come to the stage, finished. And I say, most beautiful girls can come, most handsome boys can come. Everybody will run in, and most of my stage is full. You hardly see anybody on the other side. You can look at my sessions in Maharashtra, in most of the cities and in many places, even in village schools also people can come. That hesitation is not there. It's only because teachers made them like that. I don't think it is there.
One more question, sir.
Yeah.
Acharya, how to uncondition our brains? We have been conditioned like an pet, but not a human being.
See, why do you see being human is modification of you yourself not being simple. Everybody is accidental, right? Assume that I am sending off somebody who is a guest in my house. By mistake, my hand gone inside that car when the door is locking. Do you think I will cry? I'll say no problem, no problem. I will say I will act, right? That is because he is a distant person, very far. I am not going to meet him in my life. Assume that that happens with my sister, brother, son, somebody who is very close to me. Don't you think I will scold them? So emotional attachment is showing. Emotional attachment is not there, then you don't show. Very simple. So do you have that? Then there can be fight, there can be a lot of problems. You have to understand and don't go with that. For that purpose, that point of time you have shown. That's it. If that is what you have in your mind, I have no hatred to Shuchita at all. I must have fought with Shuchita. That's a different matter. That is because I must have fought with my son. I must have fought with my father. I must have fought with my... When I don't use filters to use my words, they are my friends. If I use filters, I wrote a poetry when I remember when I had a get together with my graduate classmates, I wrote a poetry that is still there. So that says when I am using a lot of filters, finished. That means your relationship is very less. That is why when people have the love each other, lovers each other, then they speak, they have a lot of filter. As soon as they get married, the filter is gone. So what do? They become enemies. That's a problem. See, if I am waiting for my lover in a garden, 1 hour is over, she is late. And 2 hours over, still she comes after 2.5 hours and says, was it boring? No, doesn't matter. All fine. No. After getting married, next day you become 1 minute late, finished. Why is it happening? Because the filter is gone. Relationship is, I've got one beautiful poetry. You must read that if you have not read. In the Life of Love poetry, there is a relationship which talks about eros, philos, agape. Without condition, when you speak, it becomes philos. With condition, when you use it, it becomes eros. At old age, anyway, you have to balance and then live. So let me remember all that what happened wrong is all gone. Now let me brush my brain so that I can adjust and live so that my condition is done. That condition is called a agape. So life is like that. Philos is unconditional. Eros is with a lot of conditions for the society getting married. Right? And what do happen in Philos time? You will hide your girlfriend. And Eros, what will happen? You will show wherever it is possible. And agape, what will happen? Both of you will not show yourself. So that's part of your cultural change, maybe age change that needs to be enjoyed in life. Then only you realize it.
Thank you.
It's so evident that when you're connected and when you have that emotional connection to the students, even scolding will not occur like scolding to the students. It'll be so, yeah, it'll actually communicate.
My brother used to ask when students come for my residential programs, I used to take, I have a big cane stick. I used to beat them. How dare you? No, doesn't matter. You see immediately they will come and sleep on my lap and then hug me and then cry. And again they do mistake. I said, why are you doing? I want that another hug. For that I am coming. Because they know after that, the hugging is the right. So if they don't understand, it's their problem. If they understand, it's very good.
Yeah.
Padmashree, can we move to the next?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. TPS, for this wonderful, jovial, what to say, insignificant talk. In fact, I wouldn't want to put it as significant talk, because you made it so insignificant. Even the problems, you made it so insignificant. And you brought in Brahmam, you brought in Dharmam, you brought in Sukham. So, in fact, I was just looking at Brahman, which is a creator, and Dharma, which is a purpose, and then Sukham is happiness. You all get together, you have a purpose, you create that purpose, and you are happy. And that happiness is coming from standing for the other people outside and having complaints, like you said. Have complaints about the outside world and get on to resolve those conflicts. So thank you so much, Dr. TPS, teacher, parent, student. Thank you. So let's move on to the next speaker, our Ratna Dhamija. I'm so sorry, Ratnaji. I did not connect to you, and I actually don't know much about you. Let me be very, very frank about it. In fact, I just received, introduction about you. Dr. Surendra Das, would you be kind enough to introduce Dr. Ratna so that, we can move ahead? You know her so well. Dr. Surendra, are you there?
Padmashree.
Ashokaji?
Yeah,
This is Ratna.
Actually, I had passed on her brief introduction to Madam Ashoka Dina. Anyway, let me tell you, Dr. Dhamija is an education consultant. She has worked with some of the very good companies, and especially the Australian Council of Education Research. She was there as a manager for 11.5 years. She has a research-oriented mind. She has done a lot of research in the field of education. My personal association with her for a pretty long time, and we have listened to Dr. Sasikumar. We have seen his perspective, how the values makes the education full of quality. So unless and until we add the value component to the education, it is not going to be called the quality education. We will listen to Ms. Dhamija. She will definitely add up all the international benchmarks and the parameters which will make the education really a quality education. So let us not take much of the time, and we request Dr. Dhamija to take over and express her views about the quality education.
Thank you, Dr. Surendra. Now, you had sent me the introduction, but then I knew you are connected to her, so I wanted you to introduce her because I hadn't spoken to Ratnaji. I'm so sorry, Ratnaji. That's why I wanted Dr. Surendra to introduce you. Thank you.
Thank you, Padmashree. Thank you, Dr. Das. It's really a pleasure to be here. I am no Pandit like Dr. TPS, so I would not even be able to match what he has shared with us today. What an animated view and a very frank and very interesting point of view that he has kept. But I'll try to do what I'll try to share what little I can, what I have experienced. Interestingly, of course, the fact of the reality as of today in the world of education is that we have teachers who have taken up this profession very truly, as Dr. TPS was saying, very truly that it is the last resort for them. So they have taken it up because they didn't have anything better to do, or they have family to look after, so they've taken up the profession. And they have they enact on whatever has been taught to them on in their bachelor's of education, and also the fact that whatever they have learned from their teachers, they are just replicating that, which is mostly very content based, which is mostly limited by what has been instructed to them, that this is the curriculum, this is how you have to implement it, so you are limited by that. So that's exactly what is happening, and therefore the aspects of what SDG says, I'm quite sure. Dr. TPS mentioned SDG. I would be fairly be surprised if we go to a school and we ask them, how many of you have read the national policy, or how many of you know about SDG? I doubt if you will have more than a couple of hands coming over and saying that, yes, we have gone through this. So very truly, these things are more in terms of limiting the teachers rather than helping them to engage with these students. However, in practical life and in practical school environments, we have to go as per whatever best is available. And therefore, I will limit my conversation to how the two main areas are, which is teaching and learning and leadership and management. Within that also, as Dr. TPS again said, that creativity is an aspect of quality. That is what, when we say that education, because see, whether it is any teacher, whoever is there, even if we cannot imagine what is going to happen, or what the student who's studying as of now in class 5 will face 20 years down the line when they go into the world. So unless we ensure that the students are able to think themselves, dissect themselves, be able to analyze themselves, it's not really going to help. The content knowledge is really not going to help. So very truly speaking, if we are going to help our students, we definitely need to help our teachers first, because research is fairly evidently saying that at least 30% of impact on the students is of the teacher who's teaching them. 50% is of the students themselves. The home environments, the school environment, the peer group, all this is barely the rest of it. 80% is shared between the teacher and between the students. So unless until the teachers themselves are kind of engaged in their own learning, they will definitely not be able to help in the way, or in the fantastic way as explained by Dr. TPS. I don't even need to get into it to repeat everything. So one of the ways that we thought practically in our experience when we were interacting with teachers, when we were interacting at the state level, one of the things that we found in our interaction was that having a very clear framework sometimes helps the school and the leadership to actually be able to cater to how or where the teachers are and how to help the teachers. So this framework, either they can define themselves, which could define it as whether a teacher is an expert, or whether the teacher is at the starting level, a novice, or whether the teacher is at an experienced level. But definitely there is a need for the schools to be able to define where their teachers are, so that they can ensure a collaborative support for these teachers, because teachers have their own whole range of issues that have again been discussed in number of these webinar exchanges. So one doesn't need to repeat them. However, there definitely is a need when we, for example, let me ask you a question, and if somebody is willing to respond to this, how far are schools really documenting what was an effective practice in their school? Anybody would like to share? Even if you would like to give me an example of your lesson plan, how far would you think your teachers are able to decode their strategies vis-a-vis the group of students that they have?
Madam, I am Gubain.
Yes.
I really admit that one area, the documentation is not really perfect. In our school, when we look at it, we have our teachers document the lesson plans and start a little bit of action research, but it is not, really all the classes, all the sections, all the individuals to that level, it is not. So that is, I also admit that is one need. As a teacher, I also need to look at it, look at that documentation process to have evidences of learning. So that is one I really admit with you.
Thank you for sharing that very frankly, and I really appreciate that, because I mean, I've had instances where we were having these interactions in our training programs, and I think there are a number of principals who would go defensive and say, oh, we do have everything documented. So when you ask examples, that's when things come out that it's not as well explained. And because it is not defined, see, sometimes what happens, one of the learning methods that once I write something, it helps me to further evaluate it or enact upon it in the class. If the teacher is actually defining what and how she is going to execute a lesson or a theory or a thought in the class, that's when she'll actually be able to ensure that in a group of in a classroom where she has students which are able to decode very fast the instructions, there are students that are able to understand to a certain extent after, or they take some time to decode it, and then there are students who really need hand-holding to decode those. Now, if she has actually documented it in her very clearly, that this is how I'm going to transact my, or this is my action plan to transact this thought or this theory in the class, that's when she's actually going to ensure that she's taking care of the diversified group of students that she's dealing with. Because that in itself, I mean, I have dealt with a class of 50. That's the general numbers that we have in our schools. And simply going in a classroom and giving out a lecture of content is really of no use. It's not going to help. So unless we have actually documented it and said that, okay, this is what I'm going to ensure, this is the way I'm going to ensure that I am looking at students or I'm dealing with students who are going to decode my instructions pretty fast. This is how I'm going to explain to students who are going to understand it with a little help. And this is how I'm going to really handhold the students. That's when the actual learning in the class is probably going to happen. And that's when that creativity that Dr. TPS was talking about, that will help in the lifelong learning of the students, is going to really take place. Else, it's all going to be content-based, very basics, and with no common thread that is connecting. So as ma'am just pointed out, that it's not really documented. And that's the key thing that we always say, that the common language in the school, which one can feel, one can hear the moment one steps into the school, is the common thread that links the teaching and learning and the leadership in the school, that ensures that we are going to be effective in our practices in the school, because everybody would be talking about the same or will be speaking the same language, will be talking about the same thought process, would be talking about the same practices that they have in common. and ensuring that everybody is going through the same process. So that's one of the key things that really helps. And to ensure that the common language is existing between the teachers, between the students, between each and every person, or each and every person who's there in the school, the one of the easiest way, I would say, because as we understand, everybody is not Dr. TPS who can really transact and translate everything. We are very practical, uh, down to earth human beings. We have our flaws, and therefore we sometimes need hand holding ourselves, and that hand holding could be a framework that the school works along with it and helps the teachers also to understand. And that framework could be, for example, sort of very briefly give an example. For example, if we are talking about effective teaching practices, so how would we define that this teacher is really at the very starting phase of the framework? That teacher would obviously have the knowledge of the subject. That teacher would definitely be selecting teaching approach, because that is what you have to write in the lesson plans. But beyond that, she would be limited. She would be limiting her teaching or in the class to the curriculum, or to whatever the multimedia software is teaching to the students. Now, in comparison to this, who would be a proficient teacher? Proficient teacher probably would be more structured in their approach, and when they and would try actually to engage the students, and at the same time challenge them, ensure the teacher would ensure that her teaching strategies would definitely be engaging and challenging the students to an extent. In comparison, who would be a pandita? Like Dr. TPS said, who would be a pandita? The person who's actually able to connect all the dot points, not only from the basic content, but also from the new updated latest knowledge, latest available information, and also be able to connect with all the subject areas. Not only just limiting, it's suppose the teacher is talking about English, it's not only literature, but literature, what impact it has on all other aspects, whether it is mathematics, whether it is geography, whether it is whichever. So how that teacher is able to connect a thought, a theory to all the other subjects is what would be called a pandita teacher, or what would be called an expert teacher. And that is when that teacher will be helping those students, those all diversified group of students, to actually use their own thought process rather than depend on the teacher and do a rote. They would actually be able to decode information and be able to analyze it, to be able to again translate it into their own versions and use it as and how they want, or they feel is necessary. So this kind of a very defined kind of, now how will this help the school leadership? It would help the leadership to be able to identify and then maybe ensure that there is an interaction between these three kind of expertise, and then be able to build on this collaborative or this kind of, create some more knowledge between the teachers, more sort of effective practices, so that not only the teachers who are hesitant or who have their who have not really opened up their mind to new things, or they are not flexible enough, they also become confident and feel secured. Most importantly, see, teachers, if they don't feel secured, will keep their doors shut. If they feel threatened that, oh my God, Dr. TPS is saying that I'm an idiot. Oh, I'm not going to ask the question which shows that I have limited knowledge. So that teacher is limiting herself. So if she's limiting herself, how is she going to ever help her students to open their doors? So only if we have this group of teachers who are already flexible, who have already established some good practices, who have tried some good practices, they interact with them in a secured environment, in a non-threatening environment, is when we hope that the school is going to be able to address to the issues raised by my by sir. Only then they will be able to address those and resolve those issues that we face in the school day in, day out, that in the classroom there is no equity, there is no ensuring that I mean, just merely teachers saying, oh, this student is not going to be able to do much, they are coming from this background. Some of them know, of course, the background, but even then, if they are going to just bluntly say that, then where is the effort going to happen? It won't happen. I've already blocked my mind. I've already put a brake to it. So only when we are creating an environment of learning among teachers, are we going to be able to see the same being reflected among students. That same non-threatening, secured environment of learning has to be created within the school to ensure that creativity and all those verbs that are used in the quality education are actually achieved. Another example of of the same defining of the framework could be that, for example, a teacher who's being able to understand how and why the student is succeeding without generalizing it, not just because the student is very intelligent, so they are good. No, that's definitely not the case. There has to be, again, the background information of what kind of strategies is the student using to ensure that level of expertise that the student, because let us agree, and I'm sure all of you will agree, please let me know if you agree, we all as human beings have abilities. Am I right?
Yes.
And if we have abilities, right, thank you. So if we have abilities, that means we just need to hone them to be able to succeed, or to be able to prove ourselves, or to be able to achieve our dreams. So how can we say this student is a low ability student? No. Can we say that really? No. It's only that the student is able to decode information, decode instructions with a little hand holding in the beginning, till the time they are able to decode themselves. Or this student may be able to decode instructions, decode information with a little more explaining, a little more understanding. And this student is able to decode information faster. And that's when, the moment a teacher is able to actually define and understand how and why students move forward or learn or grow in their learning, because students are growing in their learning. It is not as if they cannot grow. It's only when the teachers are helping them they will grow. So if the teacher is able to understand and the how and why a student can grow in their learning, that's when we will be able to create an environment of learning in the school, in the classroom. And again, this can only happen if the teachers are allowed to collaborate their experiences, share their experiences, share their practices, share their strategies, exchange thought process over their strategies within the class, within the school. Once they are allowed to, once they are given an environment to do that, it helps the teachers who are still novices, who are still in their starting phase, and it will help them take it a long way. Let me ask another. This was a WhatsApp that I received one day, and it was a teacher asked in a school, in a classroom, why do we have brakes in the car? Would somebody like to respond to this? Why do we have brakes in the car?
So that they can rest their minds, teachers and students both.
No, teachers and students can rest their mind. In what way? I mean, like rest from where? From the studies or from education or what?
From the content, rather.
From the content. Okay. Okay, that's an interesting point. So we have brakes in the car so that there can be rest. Anyone else would like to?
Oh, you're asking about brakes in the car. Okay.
Yeah.
I got that.
TPS, sir, what do you say?
Move fast and speed the car.
I know
Without
the
brakes, we
answer and I
cannot-
know this question, so that's why I was not answering.
We can move fast if there are brakes, otherwise we cannot.
Okay, can you just repeat what you said?
With the brakes, they have a courage to move fast. Otherwise, they can't move fast.
So can we translate that into our teaching and learning in the classroom? Can you translate this?
There is no fear factor. If there is no fear factor, the children come out with their own thoughts, and there is a scope for to explore more and more interaction, and there the real teaching learning process can happen.
So basically, very true, and that's exactly what this. I found this very interesting. This thing, sort of decoding of this questions. That actually, this is what we should be doing in our classrooms. We should be using that break not to break only till the content, but to actually accelerate the engagement with the students so that they can actually achieve. See, at the end of the day, if we are not, and this is another one of the issues that the teachers face, and I've been a teacher, so I definitely do appreciate this, and it's really frustrating to face this. When it is expected that I have to ensure that in my class and in the board exams, this is what the result should be, only then I am an effective teacher. Now, this is really sad, I would say, because then it ensures that this system ensures that it produces a person like me who doesn't know anything, who's not a pundit like Dr. TPS. And if we are going to be generic, then really we are limiting our own success. So unless we are able to ensure acceleration of engagement in our classrooms, we are definitely not going to achieve any of the SDG goals or any of the national policy goals or any of the simple dreams of our students. And just in the end, I'll just like to again share a joke that was there again in the WhatsApp. This gentleman who was from a very sort of uh, background, which was, labor's background. His father told him, look, son, if you don't study, you're going to sell bananas like this vendor. So this poor boy, he said, okay, fine, I'll study. And he studied very hard. He topped in grade 10. And he went to his father, look, father, I have topped in grade 10. Now I'm good. His father says, no, my son. Grade 10 is not where we start. You have to pass the school, which is grade 12, to ensure that you don't sell bananas. Again, the child studied very hard. Fortunately, he was able to study hard and he was able to get all the help he required. Again, he topped. And then he went to his father again. He said, father, I have topped again. He says, but this is not enough. You definitely have to go and do your graduations, otherwise, or do some post-graduation degree. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to achieve anything. So again, this boy studies further. However, he's limiting, of course, himself to the curriculum or the expectation of the society. Engineer's son has to become an engineer, doctor's son has to become a doctor. Why did you become an engineer? Because my mother said so, or my dad said so. So this dad also is instructing the son, and the son is going on studying. He finished his MBA, he finished his engineering because the father said so, boss, you have to do it, otherwise you're going to sell bananas. And he goes in the job market with basic skills, obviously, because he's probably wrote, memorized. And the job market says, sorry, boss, this is what we need. Fortunately or unfortunately for this fellow, he didn't have the luck of getting into the software engineering job, which Dr. TPS gave an example of, that he was not lucky enough as that girl. So he went, and he did not have that kind of courage of, obviously, to have his own startup, which is going on as of now. So he started selling bananas ultimately. That's the irony of our education system. So definitely, whoever may say that this is how we are going to achieve quality by ensuring that as defined by SDG goals, that ensuring that there is equitable quality, there is ensuring that social emotional well-being of the student is there. Unless until we are creating the creativity in the student, we will never be able to achieve all these goals that are being dictated. And in my limited understanding, from being a teacher to being to having all this exchange with the international community, or with our state officials of the education department, my understanding is fairly very grounded to the fact that our teachers as of now definitely need hand holding. They definitely need very structured kind of, because they themselves are not creative enough. So they definitely need very structured kind of hand holding or frameworks or standardized approach to help them to come up or bring up their level and then start thinking on their own. With this, I will just end here. and I'll be happy to have any other interaction rather than, doing my speech. So it would be more interesting if somebody is sort of happy to share their experiences, or able to share what exactly goes in the ground with them. That will be more interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam.
Ma'am, this is...
Just a minute. Let me finish speaking and you can speak.
Okay.
Madam Ratna, Dhamija, you have...
Please, excuse me, ma'am. Just Ratna would be, I am... the moment somebody says madam, it sounds like, as if, honestly speaking, I'm just a very small experienced person. So please, just Ratna is good.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Both the speakers' talk has been a highlight for today's evening session, and we have got so much benefited by these speeches. And before, for the benefit of the participants, I would like to read out a profile of Madam Ratna. Working as an independent consultant engaged in the areas of capacity development in student assessment, design and development, program management, and school leadership and improvement with both national and international agencies. That's her work profile. And she has developed a design note to address the strengthening of the examination and national assessment systems for the government of Bangladesh, Primary Education Ministry, its design, administration, and use of data from national assessments and examinations to improve quality of student learning. The process involved closed consultations with all relevant stakeholders, worked as a manager in the Australian Council of Education and Research for 11.5 years. And prior to that, she worked in Macmillan India Limited as marketing manager for 5 years. That's the reason why we could, she could connect us with the quality of education that we need in the classrooms, how we have to handhold the students. Thank you very much, ma'am. Over to you, Padmashree.
Thank you so much. Just let me add one more thing to this. Very truly, I mean, what you read was quite more than what actually I know. But one of the things that this is my personal view. Though we talk about a lot of student assessments, etc., but honestly speaking, I would say that what we need is to prepare the child for a life, not to just prepare the child to go to the next grade or to pass an Olympiad or to pass a national testing service. That actually, even internationally, you go to any country which is actually focusing on testing, what actually happens then in those classrooms, the teachers actually start teaching the students to the test rather than to engage them and to improve their learning. So yeah, we need to be very careful and cautious about student assessment and how we use them. That data tells us quite a bit, and we definitely should be using that data to help us improve our teaching and learning practices. But yeah, we need to be very, very, very careful.
Exactly.
Take it with a pinch of salt.
Yes.
Yeah, so before I conclude and summarize, I would like to ask if anybody has a question or something, anything to comment or contribute. Anybody? Nasir sir, I think he wanted to share something. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my name is Nasir Ahmad Bhatt. I'm from Kashmir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Ma'am, I want to add one point about the quality of the Indian education. Is that recently I was in a workshop where we have to prepare the assessment tools for class 8th. and the stress was given on the Bloom's taxonomy, to use the Bloom's taxonomy in our assessment tools. So I raised there a question. I said that India is rich in, we create people who work, scientists who work in NASA. We have brilliant number of engineers and computer scientists. We have educationists. Why do we still need Bloom's taxonomy? Even we are having our own satellites in the space. The Bloom's taxonomy is made for the Western world. They have their own problems. And we in our education system have our own problems. So I think the system is documented in one way, and it is not working properly. I mean to say, it is written something and practically it is on the ground, it is something. We have Dr. T.S. Tripathi, sir. I think if we made these things, these theories, these assessment tools, prepare a big research in the field of education and see what our problems lie in reality on the ground level. Because education is not, it cannot be dropped in the air-conditioned rooms. You have to go from the school to school. You have to prepare, you can prepare even your own education system. You can prepare your, what are your needs and frame accordingly your assessment tools. So that I want to add something about that. So this was my point.
Thank you.
That is to, you have your own problems in Indian education system. It has merits, it has demerits, just like any other country in the world. So why can't we research on these things in an honest way, not in the documentation of. That's my point, Maya.
Yeah, so what you're saying is let it be need-based. Just
yes,
not,
ma'am.
I got that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have anything to comment on this, Ratnaji?
I think Dr. TPS would want to comment, so let him do that.
In evaluation systems which we have, in which how do we understand how much the student could capture when we transact? For that, Bloom's taxonomy has got some methodology. That is what I said. Acharyat padam adate, padam shishya samedaya, padam sa brahmacharibhya, padam kalakramena. How are you going to see? Our problem was our traditional knowledge and transaction system was not documented, put it into books, and then said this is how you should teach. The way Bhagavad Gita is being taught also, or maybe the question and answer which we have in Upanishad also can be told. There are people who documented this and then called a system which is to be followed. Now today we are learning many of the theorems like what is done by Newton. It is not that gravity is invented by Newton or stated by Newton. It is also there in our traditional knowledge which we have. But only thing, because they're documented, got a patent and got published, it has become a principle to follow. Otherwise, agrishti shaktistu mahitaya yad gastam swabhimukam swashaktya. Universal gravity is also defined in our textbooks. But we have not documented, people have not learned it. That's the only thing which Bloom's taxonomy is saying. This is how you should teach. There is a mechanism created. The 7S principles, the 5M principles in management. If you look at it, all of them are there. There is nothing new, but we cannot say there is nothing new. They have documented and put it into a framework. So if you know the Eastern systems, probably, why do we call, see now alternative treatment? Ayurveda has become an alternate treatment. What is alternate? Which has come later. Allopathy is actually alternate. Original system is Ayurveda, but we don't call it as life science. Is not called the treatment for disease is what is called as the original, and the treatment or maintaining life is called an alternate medicine, right? So it is the way we look at the world. Probably the rich people say The developed nations say we hear more, otherwise we don't. That's only difference. I am so happy that Nasir has this concern. I don't think I refer any of this, though it is not that I don't know the Bloom's taxonomy and all that. I don't refer them in my classes. Only I take the original Eastern philosophy. I don't refer to half brain. See, we have people who say half brain is thinking, half brain. It's all stupid psychological processes which is being taught today. There is nothing called half brain which is brilliant and half brain which is keeping knowledge. It's not there. No biologist also agrees with it. Some psychology people told sometime, and that has become so famous, everybody keeps quoting. I have examples where half brain is totally gone, but still his activity is all going as it is there. There is a case in Hyderabad. Is it that only he keeps data without reflecting or being creative? It's not true. Living examples we can show. The neurons are so powerful, it knows how to connect each other, but still we follow what is being told by somebody without thinking about it. Same way, that's how it is. Nane's principle of teaching, 9 principles are there. You have to check what is learned already and what is taught in the earlier class has to be reviewed. Is it something which has to be told by somebody? Every good teacher knows how to do it, right? Every textbook is also written. What we learned in last year is the first chapter, but nobody teaches it. That's our problem. In theory, it is there. In practice, it is not there. Thank you, Nazir, for reminding that.
I'll just, before Madam Ashoka Bira conclude the thing, first of all, a very fiery brand, Guruji, Dr. Sasikumar ji, a very bright aura. He is an embodiment of the Indian ethos, the Indian philosophy, the Indian system. So definitely, I would like to admire that today he has been invited to represent exclusively what exactly is the Indian mindset, the system, the ethos, the philosophy and everything. We have seen it. We have seen a guru. An embodiment of Guru is Dr. Sasikumar. Now we have also with us today Ratna Dhamija, now who has gone through different kind of systems where the frameworks are there, the strategies are there, the guidelines are there are modules, modus operandi are there. Now those who have not accustomed of this all kind of frameworks, methodology and systems, like Mr. Nasir, who had talked about why Bloom taxonomy and so on. My humble submission is this, that once we start finding it out what exactly is the Bloom taxonomy and apply, then we find that these are not alien things, these are not foreign things. By critical thinking we talk about, there is a framework, there is a structure. We are not trained, we are not grown in the Indian system by following a typical type of structure. On the contrary, the Western world has very much into documentation, very much following a structure and framework, and therefore the education system we talk about today and we compare ourselves. As far as the ancient era is concerned, the Gurukul systems are concerned, the philosophy is concerned, they are undoubtedly very, very rich. What is the need of the hour? That we bring all the ancient systems, restructure the whole thing, present in some kind of a thing whereby the framework, the formats, the strategies are available. I think we will do justice to our Indian education system, and then we can create our own model. This is what I felt like it. And both, if we see, when we talk in terms of the quality education, Dr. Sasikumar is one side of the coin and Dr. Ratna Dhamija is the other side, but both are exactly the quality education. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can we ask more questions?
Ashoka ma'am, should we go ahead and invite questions, or?
It is 7:15. It is up to Dr. Ashoka madam to decide what is.
One question, please. One question.
Make it quick and short.
Sure. So in the context of quality education matters, right? The education is definitely a tool for the development of the country also. I would like to listen just few thoughts on the inequality paradigm. So UNESCO recently brought out a study which says that almost 1 lakh schools in India is run by single teacher, right? So the stress on the teacher and the quality education that is received by the children. Question number one. Second is definitely I appreciate all the thought processes here, both the educationists brought out, especially in terms of the brain drain. So we nurture students, and if you see 11th and 12th in most of the states now, especially when I see Telangana and AP regions, it is all becoming a coaching centers. Okay, like they learn for NEET exam, they learn for AIMS exam, then whatever, like, you know. So what happens to the rest of the people who are not going to get in the system at all? So is it equal? Is it really we are aiming, nurturing the quality education for quality of life, improving the quality of life? That's my fundamental question.
Just before the COVID started, I had a youth program in Secunderabad. I also live in Secunderabad. I'm sure the person who asked the question must be from Hyderabad, Secunderabad, Telangana.
I'm very much in Hyderabad. Yeah.
Yeah.
We should meet sometime. Yeah.
Imma Mary, there are two coaching centers which are very famous. One is called Chaitanya and Narayana. Correct?
Yes, yes. Very much.
So I keep saying both Chaitanya and Narayana, they clubbed together and the joint management is there now.
Yeah.
And that is called China, Chaitanya Narayana. When there was lot of complaints on the COVID diseases from China, I told in Hyderabad related areas and including wherever the Telugu people are there, this China disease, Chaitanya Narayana disease is there for last 10 years. So the corporate education system which is started by these people are so horrible. I remember when I went to some of the coastal regions of Andhra Pradesh for lectures in engineering colleges, what I do is I pick up the engineering college students and take them to the government schools nearby and tell them, invest some time for these government school students. There are at least a few schools under their mentorship, under their initiative. Those I remember in one of the schools when I went, colleges when I went, whatever honorarium I got, I gifted to the school and asked them to get all the uniforms, all the materials required for them. When I went nearly 10 years back, it had only 4 or 5 students and then 4 teachers. But then today, I understand it has got more than 400 children. So those educated people can make a difference in the, you don't have to wait for government. Probably in my school also, when I studied in a small school in a village, we had only 1 teacher for 1 class. That was a system. And government schools, Kerala has got different methodology for running government. So it is slightly better. In other many of the government schools, this problem is there. I have traveled from southwest Kerala to the northeast. I keep going to northeast. You understand, even in 11th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, there are no science labs. 37 schools are supported by 1 science van, which will go from one school to another school and camp there for 1 week, do all experiments, and then still they get good marks. I know such schools have gone to international science exhibition also with the participants. So it is not facility. That's why I kept, in the beginning I said, it is not facility. It is 1 teacher who can make a difference in somebody's life. Is there in any school, that's good enough. You don't require many teachers. All that paraphernalia will come. If you have got some zeal to make differences, you can make differences. We can make a lot of change in government schools also. I was part of Children's Science Congress in India. I've gone to many schools. I've been participating in most of the systems of changing school, at least in corners of this country. So it's not a big problem. In India, at least, it is not a big problem. I know Africa has got a big problem because resources are not there. There are a lot of problems other than the poverty is a big problem. India is not a poor country, so that itself is good enough.
Thank you, Dr. TPS, for addressing that. So Ashoka ma'am, can I conclude the session?
Yes.
Yeah. So in fact, as I
just now only there was one request from Ratna ji, don't call people as ma'am and sir. I hate people who call me sir because there is a title given by British people. And we stopped that. Mahatma Gandhi denied accepting sir, therefore he did not become a Nobel Prize winner in peace. Tagore accepted a Nobel Prize because he loved to be called as sir. So let us not have this sir and madam and all that. No, let us call, I call only Dasji and Padmashree, my sister or something like that. It's good enough. If you are little younger than me, I call you by name. Little elder, Dasji is very senior to me. Don't look at my gray hair. He is much more senior. I have checked up his age before coming to this session. That's why I called him as Dasji. Ratna ji also probably my age equal to that. Rest of the people I call by name only. Right? That has got an intimacy. If you call ma'am, that is one of the things which you have to change in school education is stop calling teachers as ma'am and madam. Master teacher is a better name than ma'am and madam.
Master.
Even if you want some favor from a booking clerk, we will call them sir. And the same thing is used for your teachers who are with you for lifelong. It's all stupid actually. It's all fooling people. You must change the system. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I will take this. So, Ratna ji, actually, when you started, you was like a relay. TPS started with education, the process of understanding human beings, and Ratna ji took us through. Please yourself, everyone. Yeah, Ratna ji took us through the process through which we have a structured way and documentation that we follow to actually have students realize their humanity. So,
Padmashree, I have got somebody from Isabel from Argentina also here.
yes,
Message.
it's a long message. I wanted to read that actually.
Yeah, you could take a feedback also from her.
Yeah.
You want to speak?
She dropped off or something. Yeah.
Oh, she's there now. I just saw. Yeah. She's from Argentina.
Yeah. So she says, I mean, everybody would have read. I would want to really love to read this if I can go back and go through. Education is the key to unlocking the golden door of freedom for all. How I wish African education can be like yours. It is widely accepted that most of Africa's education and training programs suffer from low quality teaching and learning, as well as inequalities and exclusion at all levels. Even with a substantial increase in the number of children with access to basic education, a large number of they still remain out of school. So, Eugene, are you there? If you could just come on.
Yeah. All right. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are listening me from. Thank you very much for this nice program. I am Eugene, coming from Zambia. Just like the question I asked earlier on, indeed, our education in Africa, to be specific in Zambia, it has a lot of lacunas. We should be looked into it. With this initiative, which you have come up with, really we are enjoying. I have been in the system for the past 12 years as a teacher, and I've seen a lot of things should be considered. If you talk about the performance in our most schools here in Africa, to be specific in Zambia, our performance is pathetic because the way we have carried out our education. I think with the inclusion of SDGs, we need to modernize, we need to move from the way of being learning to another level so that we adapt the new system of education. Otherwise, keep it up with this. I personally am learning a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, William. He is there in my group of youth development programs in Africa. Isabel is also there from Argentina. Isabel, you want to speak?
Thank you very much. Hello, very young. Thank for inviting me to participate with you in this interesting meeting and be able to share ideas to implement a new education in our schools. A new education in which students could be the main protagonist, where teachers are responsible for creative, innovative classes. For example, grids propose interesting topics motivate students during the learning process, coordinate learning and research, a part that they will make together. The staff should include the use of technological device as well as interactive tools. In South America, especially in Argentina, not always if you have money, you have access to education. More opportunities, students for fulfill their dreams and reach their goals. At the private education, students have better buildings, attend classes in double fields, with extracurricular subjects and workshops such as painting, artistic, theater, music, while in the public school, students attend classes 4 hours a day without complementary subjects. They do not have access to internet. Sometimes in their family, they don't have computers or smartphones where they can recite their interactive tasks. And in many cities, in small towns, they do not even have electricity. Lack of resource, poor buildings, web connection, don't have access to internet during the school year. Students should face a lot of strikes for different reasons. For example, social and economic problems. It is necessary to continue the fight so that government should implement new educational policies, improve public schools, buildings, and provide the same opportunities private education. Now, this is not yet possible for political and social reasons. There is always the struggle of educational groups and associations to achieve equality, which is a right of children and young people. We hope that it will be achieved very soon, guarantee the future of nations. People that do not have a good education cannot prosper. Thank you to all.
Thank you.
You will see a large difference between the South American situation and the USA. USA, if you have not understood what is happening today, probably I suggest you to look at the documentary called Schooling. Most of the strict framework of classroom teachings have been changed to school education is not a must. You can get educated at home. That is what the forefront educated parents are thinking now. But South America, where Isabel's sister is from, it is not that much changed today. They still go for a very systematic framework of classrooms. But yes, as she says, extra curricular activities have got some impetus. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you.
Thank you. So just to conclude, I mean, Ratnaji has left the meeting, however, but then what I really want to leave you all with is that education is that process of understanding human beings. And teachers are the ones who are, teaching or, passing on that understanding of being a human being to the students. And if teachers themselves don't understand their own humanity and their own being human being, what it means to be a human being, then it is not very effective to actually transfer that knowledge to students to make them see their humanity. So it was very beautifully brought in by Dr. TPS, how it is, you don't need to have a big structure or big infrastructure also to actually inculcate this in the students. And Ratnaji also brought in a bit of structure wherein documentation is needed and required to actually take it forward and make it more structured. So thank you so much for being with us here, for looking at what is the future of education and how we can actually be more effective and effective, in the sense bringing in more of feelings and emotions, and also thought processes to be developed rather than just taking what is already there and taking it forward. So that is what really came up. Thank you everyone for joining. Jemmy has a question, her hand is up. So the session is formally complete. If you want to continue being here and have any discussion, you can continue. As such, officially the session is complete. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes, Jemmy.
Good evening. I am Jemmy. I am from Kerala. Good namaskaram to all. Recently, I have completed a course that is a communicative English trainer course, and along with that, a soft skill trainer. It was a 1-year course actually from Advanced Skill Development Program of Government of Kerala. So last week I completed that course. In that course, we have trained soft skill to the students actually. So after teamwork, then the organization skills, social skill, how we can teach the skill through activities. That is what we have learned. So I can become a certified soft skill trainer actually. So I can go to colleges and I can be a resource person in schools, higher secondary schools, normal schools, and in professional colleges also. So the curriculum was to implement or to teach soft skill to the students actually. So I found it very useful actually. By profession, I was an engineer. I'm an MTech highway engineering, and I took this an additional qualification. I took this course as additional. And during the COVID time, I learned this course actually, and I found that it will be very useful for me in the future, because rather than sitting in the small core of engineer, I can go to schools, colleges, and in professional colleges also teach soft skill like public speaking skills. Everything I can teach to the small kids actually. So that will be nice if the other states are also this type of programs.
And that you did with your own interest, isn't it, Jemmy? That is what's needed and required by teachers, to learn, to go out, to keep learning from everywhere so that they can inculcate that, they can transfer that to their students. That's what the whole session also was like in the session.
Padmashree, I'll request you to kindly conclude.
It is concluded, Dr. Surendra. The session is concluded. That's why I said officially it is complete, and thank you everyone. She wanted to share, so she was sharing, Dr. Surendra. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sasikumar ji, and the moderator Padmashree ji. She beautifully organized, and all those who have joined us. And I can see that after 2 hours, still 25 members are there. I think it has gone very well, and definitely in future we will see that how best we can utilize the services of Dr. Sasikumar for reinforcing the system and bringing more motivation and encouragement. And we'll also take the help of Ms. Ratna Dhamija, and all those who have joined us really deserves a loud appreciation from our side, having a lot of patience and hearing and participating. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
God bless you.
Yeah, thank you for everyone's listening.
Thank you.